Hi, and welcome everybody. It's Monday, November the 1st. It's time for another edition of our college football betting edition, our early segment. And as always on Mondays, I'm joined by Mr. Doug Upstone of DocSports.com. Doug, last 5 weeks, we've gone a combined 14-6 against the spread with our NFL and college football picks combined on these free pick videos right on this channel. So good job, my friend.
Well, obviously, you've been a big contributor to that also. And I did miss Michigan last week. 16-point lead in the third quarter. Don't get it done. Well, I guess you deserve what you get on that one.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, I know both of us had some late wins. And I'm talking late wins for our NFL free plays. So, hey, you know what? Sometimes you need that stuff.
Yeah, winner's a winner is a winner, they say, and you lose some games like that too. I mean, look, I lost a couple games with my paid selections last week in the NFL late. It happens, and I'm having one of those years where over the last 4 or 5 weeks, it just seems like all games that finish like that go against me. But as you well know, they always come in bunches the other way too, Doug. So in any event, any talking points in terms of college football going into, boy, oh boy, it's week 10 already in college football, correct?
Yeah, week 10, we're in November. That's the biggest news. And, usually November is it's an interesting month, and so there's, there's 6 remaining undefeated teams. Okay. And of those 6, what do you do with those teams? Okay. Do you continue to back them, or do you look to fade them? And I think a lot of that just depends upon what kind of team they are. Now, just my personal opinion on this is that I like teams that can run the ball, stop the run, and play some defense. Okay, yeah. That are doing that. Teams that have some experience, for example, in this area. Georgia comes to mind with that. And teams, now Michigan State also fits that parameter, but they get a check mark into the negative column because of the lack of experience in this realm.
I'm not convinced they're a very good defensive team either, Doug.
Oh no, well that's another point. Another one that comes up is UT. Even though I like the team, Texas San Antonio, is another one, and they'll have an interesting game against UTEP this weekend. So UTEP's been playing everybody tough, and so yeah, I just those types of things, and upsets, they're just common occurrences when November hits, and it seems to always deliver from that standpoint. So got to have your radar up in order to pick some upset winners, because they're going to happen, and they seemingly, like I said, always more in November seemingly than any other month, Ross.
Yeah, I hope Oklahoma gets knocked off because, they're just another first round of the college football playoff exit again. Eliminate that. Get them out of the way, please. I just don't think that team is that good. Are they a top 10 team? Yes. But the same thing will bite them in the behind when they get to the college football playoff. I mean, they do stop people this year, but when it comes to, they haven't really played anybody of real good quality competition. And Michigan State, give them credit. They came back to win that game at home. Their running back just went crazy down the stretch. But again, they fit the mold of Oklahoma in years past, where undefeated team that just outscores people, and I just don't think that formula can win a national championship. We'll see. In any event, Doug, speaking of upsets, I did a little bit of research on how home underdogs have done this year, and then I narrowed it down to home underdogs of between 4 and 11. And why I do that is because you're getting that value of getting more than a field goal, but you're still at a parameter at plus 11 where there's a realistic opportunity you could win the game straight up. So I ran that parameter, and then I tightened it up even more. Home underdogs this year, up until this week, of 4 to 11 points that are coming off a win, and they're facing a team that's also coming off a win, have gone an incredible 15-0-2 against the spread this season. So That's something to keep an eye on going forward, Doug. And those home underdogs in that point spread parameter coming off a win and facing a team coming off a win have also won 12 of those 17 games straight up. So again, that parameter where you have a realistic opportunity to win. Great thing about an underdog, two ways to win, straight up and against the spread. So there is one game that qualifies and comes within that point spread parameter this week, Doug. And I am going to leave it up to the viewers. Text us back or give us some feedback and see if you can figure out which game that applies to. Doug, you got a free pick for us. Well, you have any comment? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do. If I can figure it out, can I comment too?
Sure.
Oh, okay. All right. Just want to be sure.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be just everybody else. Because if I do my
I don't mean to
homework,
take the fun out of it for you, Doug. Absolutely. You can
yeah, I like a good challenge. So yeah. So
in any event, Mr. Upstone, who was at the Green Bay, Arizona game last Thursday. What a game that was. And Doug walked away a happy man as his Packers were a 3-point winner. And I don't know what AJ Green was thinking about on that last play of the game. Everybody wants to throw the blame at Murray, but you know what, Doug? I don't know if you watched that play closely. That ball was thrown exactly where it needed to be, back shoulder, and AJ Green ran that route like he had no inclination he was even involved in that offensive play. So in any event, Green Bay, give them credit, shorthanded, they walk away with a win. Getting off topic here. So what do you got for Saturday in college football, my man?
Well, I'm looking at what is annually an interesting game, and I'll give a little history lesson too. We're talking about Navy and Notre Dame. Now, for those of you that watch Notre Dame on a regular basis or on NBC primarily, or would know the story, but many others do not, is that Notre Dame has played Navy for forever. Now, obviously, they didn't play last year because of COVID. There was just some situations impossible to do. But since World War II, these teams essentially have met annually. And the reason that is the case is during World War II, which obviously was a long time ago, Notre Dame at that time was still a male-only university. And because of that, during the war, they got down to so few students, it was no longer feasible or nearly feasible for that university to stay open. So the Navy pitched in, sent some of their students to attend Notre Dame during that time, classes and whatever, and it kept Notre Dame afloat during World War II. So Notre Dame is forever.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Yeah, you're enlightening me here too, Doug.
Okay. Yeah. No, forever indebted. Okay, and one of the other things, here's something else, Russ, that you would not know is, and this has been a long-standing tradition. You know, obviously a lot of kids talk, or not kids, a lot of players talk trash, of course, during games, and it is an absolute rule at Notre Dame that when they play Navy, you say nothing. Okay, you keep your mouth shut for the entire game, and you respect your opponent more than you would any other opponent. So, okay, so there's your history lesson. Now let's get to the game. Coach Kelly's team is 7-1 this year, 5-3 against the spread. They're back in the top 10. They'll be favored to win the rest of their games, and they're nicely positioned to finish 11-1 potentially and get another Super 6 bowl bid. Navy was outscored in their first two games coming off a horrible season. They were outscored in the first two games 72-10, and both of those games were at home. But since, the Navy has covered 5 of their last 6, and they've engineered 2 upsets. And also, they took Cincinnati to the wire, losing by just 7 as 28, I think it was, point underdogs or somewhere in that neighborhood. Though the midshipmen seldom beat Notre Dame, they're only 4-23 straight up since 1992. They are more than competitive when you put a point spread on the game because they're 18-9 against the number versus the Irish. This Notre Dame defense is not particularly good, certainly as compared to the last several years. They're not very good at penetrating, which is the key to stopping an option offense. And the middies, like they showed last week, if you watch the Tulsa game, they can hold onto the ball forever. They can run the clock, which limit possessions. So I'm going to say take the Navy plus the 20 at Notre Dame. And I think Notre Dame wins, but I'm going to say by more in the 10 to 14 point range.
Yeah, and as Bill Rafferty would say, onions, as Doug Upstone likes the Navy midshipmen plus the 20 on the road at Notre Dame. Doug, I'm going to take a look at the Ohio State and Nebraska game. That kicks off at 12 o'clock on Saturday. Right now, Ohio State is a 15.5-point road favorite. You know, Ohio State's rebounded nicely since losing to Oregon. And their defense, which looked like a liability early on, they've really come on of late. So, I mean, they gave up over 400 yards of total offense to their opponents in the first 3 games. Since that time, nobody's been able to crack that 400-yard barrier. But, you know, it looks like a potential flat spot to me. They're coming off a win against number 22 Penn State last week, a hard-fought win, a closer than expected win. And then coming up, they got Purdue, who has a winning record, who knocked off Iowa, so they certainly can't take them lightly. They also have finished the year with Michigan State, number 5, and Michigan, number 7. And in between, they have this 3-6 Nebraska team. Doug, you can make a case, if there's such a cliche, Nebraska is the best 3-6 team in the country. And why I say that is all 6 of their defeats have come by 8 points or fewer, or as we like to put it, 1-possession games. And if you look at 3 of those losses, they came against, by 7, I should say, to number 4 Oklahoma, by 3 to number 5 Michigan State, and by 3 to number 7 Michigan. And boy, oh boy, Nebraska has invented ways under head coach Scott Frost to shoot themselves in the foot. And not only once, twice, they're running out of toes to hurt. So, but any event, I mean, you look at this team, a lot better than their record indicates. They're plus 121.7 yards per game, despite being number 6. It's not all about turnovers for them. They did plague themselves with turnovers last week, though. In their loss last week, they committed 4 turnovers. But something just tells me this game is going to be much closer than a lot of people think, including Buckeye fans. And I think Nebraska is going to give them all they can handle here. And I'm going to take the Cornhuskers here, plus the 15.5 at home against Ohio State. And Doug Upstone likes the Navy midshipmen, plus 20 at Notre Dame. Doug, what do you got going on this week? And tell the folks, bring them up to speed.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me every single day at docsports.com. Just go to the Doug Upstone page. Had a losing weekend in college football, disappointment. Okay, but like every disappointment, you got to bounce back and come from it. Had a real good Sunday in the NFL at 3-1. Hit my best bets. So best bets now, weekly best bets, 13-5 so far on the season. So that's gone along quite well. I think it's 40-29 the last 8 weeks or 2 months in football. So not fantastic, but solid. Okay, so we'll take that each and every time. And so once again, I'll be lined up with some selections coming up. Again, got some underdogs that I'm looking at, but a little self-reflection, Ross. But a little shallow on underdogs, and I think on my picks, and I think that's probably hurt me. Okay, this from overall in college football, not in the pros, but in college football. So looking to maybe look for a couple more underdogs this week. And Major League Baseball is going to be wrapping up either Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay, we know. And I just found out this morning I got from the one place that I'm a third-party monitor, I won my 3rd Major League Baseball Handicapper of the Month award to go along with a fantastic season. So that was excellent. So happy about that. Always like to get those awards, for
sure.
It shows that you're doing well. So yeah. So that's my story, Russ. And that's it. I'm good. Ready to go.
Yeah, and look at folks. We put our behinds on the line. We don't tell you how we did after the game started. Well, yes, we do. Okay. But we also are monitored where it's transparent what our picks are from an independent site. So we don't have the luxury of saying, I went 3-1 last week. Well, how do we know that? It's because I said so. Okay. Anyway, in any event, that's a pretty darn good record in football, by the way. If the calculator works in my head, I think that's between 57 and 58%, folks. No, Doug says that's not great. I beg to differ because do the math and just calculate it on 220 to win 200 a game, for example, and go 57%, just over 100 picks. You'll see you're making a pretty damn good profit. Doug, and you mentioned it's hurt you that you haven't really explored the underdogs in college football of late. Well, this might be a good week to try that because, as a matter of fact, last week, home favorites in college football went 26-15 against the spread at 63.4%. If those home favorites were 10.5 or less, how about 16-6 against the spread? My point there is when you see trends like that, and they've held serve for a couple weeks or so, which I believe they have with home favorites in college football, at least last week anyway, usually the tide will turn the following week. At the very least, more times than not, it will even out or it'll be a 50-50 split. So good point to bring up. Look at 3-2 in college football last week. Had some nice winners on, as a matter of fact, Mississippi State, Fresno State, and Wisconsin. So turned it around just a little bit, Doug. Not a great day, but I'll take a winning day. And this week will be no different. As a matter of fact, on Saturday, I will have my conference game of the year in college football. So stay tuned for that, folks. Me and Doug will be back with you on Thursday. And let me remind you folks again, over the last 5 weeks, we've been giving you 2 college football free picks on a Monday and 2 NFL free picks on Thursday. We've gone 14-6 over that 5-week period against the spread, not picking straight up, against the spread. That's 70%. So, folks, my point being is if you have not subscribed already, this YouTube channel is free, absolutely free. There's no obligations attached. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified right away upon us releasing any of these sports betting videos on this channel. And don't forget, give the old gentleman here a like. I mean, we're trying to make you happy, and hopefully you are happy. 14-6 over the last 5 weeks. If you're not happy, you need some good depressants, antidepressants, I should say. But again, folks, give us a like. It just helps. It gives us a little bit of support, and it's encouraging. In any event, until the next time, which will be Thursday with Doug Upstone, for Doug Upstone and Ross Benjamin, we like to wish each and every one of you all the very best, and good luck and God bless, folks.